Hey you folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to Let's Try Dying Light, or rather, let's try the press preview build of Dying Light. Dying Light is a game that's going to be coming out at the end of January 2015, and this preview build just has the first two missions and is not quite complete. So, I can't really give you any sort of quality judgment here, but I can definitely give you a sense of the game. Now, obviously, I don't usually play these sorts of first-person, action-y games, at least not on my channel. However, a few years ago, I played a game called Mirror's Edge that I absolutely adored. And if you don't know, the whole thing with Mirror's Edge is that it was a very parkour-y kind of game. There's a lot of running, jumping, trying to keep up your speed, and leap from building to building kind of gameplay. And the thing that appealed to me about Dying Light is it promised to have some of that parkour-y kind of element in there, in a way that I haven't really seen in a lot of other titles. That it's been dabbled with, but not necessarily really used. So here, we have what there's being called, I don't know, an action-adventure survival horror type of game. You got a kind of an open-worldly kind of scenario where there's zombies in a city, but they're slow zombies and they can't climb. So what you have to do is you have to stay elevated. You're trying to run from rooftop to rooftop and just avoid the ground. Combat does work in the game. You can fight. You'll find, rudimentary weapons that you can use to fight off the zombies, but you can very quickly become overwhelmed because there is a stamina system. And there's a limit to how much you want to be fighting. So avoidance and distraction and stealth is the order of the day. There is, I have seen some NPCs with better weapons and guns, so presumably you'll probably be able to find some of that at some point. But I don't suspect that will maintain or remain the significant part of gameplay. In this press preview, it did suffer from some classic AAA-itis kind of problems where, in my opinion anyway, there was like 20 minutes basically of almost non-stop cutscenes before I got to, actually play the game. There's the token The Girl that's been added in here that's probably going to be some sort of love interest, because this is just the way things go. But other than that, I really like it. The quality of the game is definitely very good. The production quality, the graphics are phenomenal. Just standing on a high building and looking around at the city is just one of my favorite things to do in this game. It definitely looks gorgeous. The voice acting so far is really good. The performance on my computer, I do have a GTX 970, a relatively beefy computer system. I was able to hit 60 frames per second most of the time. Every now and again it did dip to 40 or 30. This is with all the settings maxed out, I believe, and of course I'm not playing the final build as well, so I think it bodes relatively well for the performance of the game on PC, of course. There is a skill system, as you can see here. There are 3 different skill groups, and you earn your skill points in each group individually. You gain agility skill points, for example, by running around and jumping. You gain the power skill points by entering combat and beating on things. And the survivor skill points are done by completing quests, helping other survivors, that sort of thing. The story so far is, they definitely have one. In fact, my press packet for this came with like tons and tons of notes about how not to spoiler things. They're very concerned about that, so they clearly consider their story to be pretty important. I've only dipped a toe into the story so far. It does follow, based on, what some of the public information out there. It's very classic, sort of, there's a zombie thing, there are survivors, and then there are these really shady government or mega corporation groups that have, I don't know what they're trying to do with it, but there's, definitely some sort of conspiracy level stuff that's going on, and you are somewhat in the middle and having to play a few different sides, so it'll be interesting to see where that story develops. But I have to say, the gameplay is fun. There are some difficult puzzles, well, not, puzzle-ish kind of things. You're like, okay, I have to get to this spot here. How on earth am I going to do that? And again, here was a nice little fail compilation of me just being absolutely horrible at running and jumping, which is probably one of the reasons I won't be making a Let's Play of this game, just because the comments would be filled with people telling me how bad I am. It doesn't help that right now I am playing on the Xbox controller. They do have mouse and keyboard support in the game, or they will have it. Right now in the press preview, one of the notes was that the PC mouse and keyboard controls were not quite finished. Not all the hotkeys are sort of plugged in yet, and so they advised me to use this controller. And I have dumb thumbs. I can't really do the console control pad mouse look with the right stick kind of thing very well, so it's a little bit hairy here, but you can see a few more failed jumps going on. And there we go, finally caught on. Fantastic. Let's go and turn these lights on. and set that up. A big part of this early gameplay seems to be, you know, get to new areas, unlock new safe zones by setting them up, or new safe houses, because as you're roaming around the city, every time night falls, you're going to have to get to a safe zone, because at night, the zombies become a lot more dangerous. Their senses become more acute, they get faster, they get a lot more dangerous. Oh, here's a bit of me trying to get to a car to set in a trap for a night mission, and I'm going to use some firecrackers to distract some of these zombies. They're not very smart, especially during the day, and so they can be drawn off with some loud noises here as I adjust the car and then just try to get out of there. I think I've got to get a second car here as well, so I think I'll use a second firecracker. And this many zombies would be absolutely impossible to fight with just a simple pipe. I can take one-on-one, maybe a couple of them at a time, but this sort of crowd would easily overwhelm me. But you can see here they are drawn away from the sound of the firecrackers. However, the firecrackers only go for 5 or 10 seconds before they run out, and then the zombies turn back on you, and you're back to running and jumping and trying to get out of the way. Here you can see there's just a little bit of a lock-picking mechanic. This is going to be familiar to people who have played a lot of various action-adventure RPG-type games. A lot of loot to collect so far. There is crafting. I don't think I included a clip of crafting in this video, but you can combine items to produce things. One of the very first things you get taught is how to combine gauze with alcohol to make a rudimentary bandage, for example. So that's going to be in there. There's a big inventory system. You do have a personal player stash as well that auto-teleports apparently to your safe houses, which is a good convenience thing. I mean, every now and again in these games, there are things you don't want to think about. How it's supposed to work. It's just like, I am happy this thing exists. If you have a safe house, you will have your stash, and it's the same stash as anywhere, and thank God for that. Let's see. Here's actually me clearing out, I think, what should be a safe zone at some point. I'm going to smash some zombies and then clear this area out, and then I think we turn on some UV lights, for example, and that's a good way to secure the safe house. Actually, this is the safe house I'll be returning to at the very end of this video. If you keep watching this, I think this is where we'll end up. Well, probably, because I think this is the only safe zone I've set up so far in this run here that I was recording. Here's an example of how combat can go very, very poorly. Like, I'll just take out a few of these, it'll be fine. I think if you do headshot the zombies, they do collapse a lot faster, but that takes a little bit more skill than I can manage, so I had to run away. And here it is. Here's at the end of my first day, and it's telling me, hey, why don't you should run back to the safe house before it gets dark. And I'm like, really? Before it gets dark? There's still a little bit of light in the screen, so night hasn't fallen completely, but I'm definitely on I can definitely get the sense that I'm on a real timer here, that if I don't get back to the safe house, I'll have to start facing some more aggressive, smarter, faster zombies very quickly, and I don't think my running, jumping skill is quite enough to be able to handle that, so I've got to make do with what I've got just to get back to the safe house as quickly as possible so I don't get eaten. I've already been bitten a few times, which means I am infected, but I don't want to spoil it too much, but there are some drugs and mechanics and things like that can help fend that off. So, but just like everything else, you feel like there's a really good sense that you're always on the clock. You're always racing against time, whether it's the sun or whether it's needing your next shot of antizin so that you don't get nommed on, or you don't turn into a nommer, rather. And yeah, so let's just enjoy the rest of this run. I think that covers just about everything I'm looking for. Again, it looks like the release is going to be end of January, either the 27th or the 30th, depending on exactly what part of the world you're in, and it is coming to PC, clearly, but also consoles if you're into that sort of thing. There is a multiplayer component, sort of a co-op multiplayer component. I wasn't able to test it here, but the idea is that you can hook up with someone else and work together to fight off some zombies or clear things up. 4-player co-op, some sort of, apparently there might be some asymmetrical multiplayer where there's going to be a mode where someone can be the zombie. So those are always kind of fun possibilities. And I like co-op multiplayer. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm actually going to look forward to trying that out once the game is out. But right now there's just no one to play with. If the multiplayer mode even works in the press preview build, which I can't guarantee that. But there you have it. There is the end of my run. Dying Light. You can Google it. It's developed by a Polish developer called Techland and published by Warner Brothers. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.